Like, comment, and share this video. Let's get this out to as many people as possible so they can all take in this, because trust me, it's gonna get interesting. You're really gonna like this. All right, I had to
Hey, yeah,
let people know.
Bring your questions. Let's do it.
Say he ain't scared. Come on, bring it.
So now I got out in '08. I was teaching for the government. We made a lot of really well trained trackers and sent them to OIF, OEF in support, and they helped capture and place under custody a lot of bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
Saved a lot of lives. Our focus was we focused a lot on counter IED and defeating the networks, which is vital at that time and is going to be vital in the future. But it was a very good program. So hopefully we'll see that again in the future. Hint, hint, whoever's watching that makes decisions here. So now, that was, 14 years ago. I started Greenside Training, and we've risen to probably the premier tracking school in the United States, along with, our friends Tom Brown, the tracking school up in the Pine Barrens in New Jersey, who I've worked with, to Fernando Moriera out in Nevada, running professional tracking services, Joel Hardin in Washington State, running a tracking school there for the last 30 years, who testifies in courts during prosecution process for tracking related evidence. And then my favorite, two of my favorites and guys that used to work with me here for Huachuca, John Hirth with Tier Tactical out of Louisiana, near Fort Polk, running great combat tracking courses. You can take them today, civilian or active duty. You can take any of our courses. And then we have Tactical Tracking Operations School, who still has an office here in Sierra Vista, and they do some training out in Hawaii as well. You can get some jungle tracking out there. But yeah, all of us have done our homework. Greenside Training specifically, we teach a method called index tracking. I wrote a book in 2012, Index Tracking, Essential Guide to Trailing Man and Beast. And I used my experiences as a hunter of man and animals to create the most effective, efficient method of tracking humans, especially when they're armed.
So is that, you say you talk about you started back at Huachuca for contracting, and then eventually you made your way to your business, Greenside Training.
Yeah.
Was that your goal to go ahead and do that? I mean, did it take some maneuvering or whatever, or eventually a realization like going, hey, you know what? I kind of want to do this. I want to give a little bit more. I want to do this. So I want to have this as my side or eventually my main. So what brought you into that?
What brought me into entrepreneurship was I definitely wanted to work for myself. Mm-hmm. There were my ideas that I was developing. I had learned under David Scott Donnellan many, many years ago. My first tracking school was in 2013. Not 2013. When I was 13 years old. That's 1993.
Okay.
So that's my first formal tracking school. I went to tracking schools in the military. I then eventually got to learn under the great and late David Scott Donnellan, who recently passed away in December 27th of 2023. Mm-hmm. Huge contribution to American law enforcement and military tactics-wise. Rest his soul. So I got into entrepreneurship because I wanted to drive the boat. I knew what good tracking was. I worked with all the services. I worked with all the best trackers who were teaching it. And I said, I've got a different perspective on this. I want to be able to track, if I'm an operator, I want to be able to track animals and human. Because if I have to operate without immediate supply available, I want to be able to find and track high protein fatty meats. Mm-hmm. So I've got to be able to read the tracks of ungulates, which are hoofed animals, and digigrades, which is sneaky animals that walk on toes, and they're quadrupeds, they walk on fours. I want to be able to find those animals so I can sustain my team out there with some good barbecue,
among other things.
That little Dakota fire. So what I did is I hunted. I've been a hunter for the last 30 years, learning under my father-in-law who's a outstanding hunter and just a very wise man when it comes to fieldcraft. And I studied animals. I studied under wildlife biologists, other big game hunters like John Margando, who's a good friend of mine from Sierra Vista, and read a lot of books. And after a couple years of tracking animals and humans, dedicated, anytime I got a chance, I was tracking pigs, deer, elk, turkey, anything. And I put together